welcome back. I'm terrible at this. Even the last three of us got headache trying to introduce the first line. No?
Yeah, true.
I better make a note of it. Hi, I'm Johnny. Thank you for watching. I'm going to be speaking about my journey of aeromodeling in the 80s. Now today I have a guest and a good friend of mine with me. He is Mr. Ghozali.
Hi, morning. I've been in this for quite some time, maybe possibly more than 40 years. And our friend here, Mr. Johnny, the first time I met him was in Changi village. We here got a shop named Singfat Radio. That was the first time I met him. I think in the late 60s. Late 60s.
Late 60s.
I think quite a number of times I went to that very shop, but I didn't see him. Only one particular lucky day, he was there in that afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. So that was when I bought the first control line from that shop. Back during primary school, I started with rubber powered because I was fascinated by these airplane things in the early 60s, where my school just next to Paya Lebar Airport. So that is where I actually naturally being introduced to this airplane.
So what's happened now, as I mentioned, I'm talking about the journey in the 80s. Now things have changed quite a bit in the 80s with new digital equipment, new digital radio control equipment, better designed planes and more powerful engines. So this leads to better performance, and then subsequently this region starts to pick up more flyers, and we have of course start to have more competitions in these regions. Like China, for example, organized the first Asian F3A competition in Guangzhou. Of course, many countries took part, including myself and some of my members. From there onwards, we have not stopped flying. We have not stopped participating in various competitions. So somewhere in the 85, we decided, the club with myself and a group decided to organize the regional competition of F3A. We call it the ASEAN Aerobatic Competition. Of course, we have participants coming from all ASEAN countries like Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. And also we have participants coming from China. And in fact, we have one particular participant that even from Germany. So we had a good time together. In fact, the crowd at the flying field, which was then in West Coast Park, will draw something like 10,000 according to survey. Of course, more competitions are held around. In fact, the next competition that we participated was actually in China again in 88. Then 89, Thailand did another one, which is again F3A aerobatic competition. So we have created quite a stir up and quite a group of flyers in this part of the world, especially in Singapore. Yes. Of course, we have not done any world competition. We have not participated, although it is available or it is organized once every 2 years. Yes, but of course by then, at that period of time towards the 80s, we literally talk about it and say one day we'll participate.
My very first ever competition since I involved myself in the aeromodeling is in mid-79. That is Changi Air Base, the Changi International Airport those days. Yeah. That time was Changi Airport haven't opened for public yet.
No, not yet.
There's still Air Base here.
Yes, together.
Quite a number of occasions like celebrating national days. We fly for the interlude, and national cadet anniversary. We fly for the MOE, Ministry of Education. We train under it's also organized by the military, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yes.
That was in Toa Payoh Stadium. Yeah.
And then at the same time, we flew in Changi. Not Changi, sorry, Bedok Stadium.
Correct.
With three Kurare as a team flying.
Bedok Stadium, also Toa Payoh Stadium.
Both.
Yeah,
Morning
true.
was Toa Payoh,
Yeah.
afternoon was Bedok.
Yeah, correct.
The real fun was we had a team in our competition where he flew helicopters with the national flag. Then subsequently, we flew as a team flying with a particular plane known as Chikmang. Subsequently, we flew another big plane where we can have smoke grenade and drop parachutes, which he was the flyer. You remember?
Yeah. That was Sembawang Air Base.
We did it also in West Coast.
That parachute is, I think in West Coast is non-radio control. In Sembawang is the radio control
That's right.
parachute. Yeah. So we actually experiment quite a number of things like RC parachute. I think that kind of parachute is totally zero in Singapore. Nobody tried before, so we experimented lah. You know. Like a country like in Europe or US, that's quite common already. Yeah.
As for me, I am open to every kind of models that runs on engine, of course. And particularly my interest from the very start was flying precision aerobatic, because that calls for very regimental flight. In other words, you need to literally put your effort and time to practice. But then on the other hand, I would not say that this is one particular. I do racing myself. I enjoy it too. I also have, to me, a trainer plane, a simple plane is still fun. So I don't have any particular to say that, oh, I have specific liking, but I enjoy every kind of model that will fly.
Same to me.
Right.
I flew all kind. Like what I said just now, I experiment on the RC parachute where nobody do it in Singapore. And other than that, if now you're talking about drones, in the 80s, I already flew a drone. Before anybody in any aero modelers in Singapore knows about drone, I already flew a drone. That was a homemade drone where I installed a camera on it. Those days are very crude. I mean, it's not autonomous, it's manually controlled. You got to calculate your, since those days you're using a film, so you got
Camera.
yeah, the camera using film. So when you click the photo, you got to count how many times you click. Those days 36 times only. If you do more than that, the whole thing finished. Yeah.
And you
Even-
don't know what you've taken, until you
Exactly.
develop.
Exactly. You don't have monitor on the ground also, like
Yeah.
nowadays. Yeah. It's a exact model from Japan.
Yes.
In those days, in the early days, we don't have all this. Yeah. So when he introduced to this, I'm telling myself, wow, these people this time they don't have much thing to do actually. Just slot it together, glue it, and install a radio, and then they can fly. But to us, the old school, we don't actually quite like it. Yeah. So anyway, I've tried it also. So very stable model, yeah, most of the time because they are lightweight. Yeah. Yeah. And like the Heli. Helis in my days are very expensive. When I first flew the Heli in the 83, if I'm not mistaken, so Heli are totally different from this. The mechanism are mostly metal. These days are mostly carbon,
These are
plastic
still the
cover,
same,
yeah, carbon, and the boom are either aluminium,
which is still the same.
yeah, and the rotor head system are normally carbon also, but you can still upgrade on it. Those days are manual flying, and now it's fly by wire. Yeah, same as this. They have the governor. Is it the governor to stabilize? Gyro. So to stabilize. In fact, you can just hold the transmitter. It will just simply hover by itself. Yeah.
But he's from the old school,
Yeah, true.
which all these electronics are not part
Correct.
of the system. And he did very well.
Just as I can say qualified to get a license to fly chopper, I was offered by his friend to do a drama in the SBC. In those days in the SBC, If anybody want to see the drama, if I'm not mistaken, the title is Men from the Past. You can see my chopper flying. That's where I flew a James Bond bag full of money. I don't know how many million inside there. But at the end of the day, when the director want me to fly, I think it's my battery and my fuel gone already. So I got to stop there. Then from the height of, I think, if I'm not mistaken, more than 25 meters up, I released the whole James Bond bag in collapse on the road with all the newspaper split out from the vest, but not the money. Yeah, true.
Now, those models of those days are not as sophisticated as today, but they are more or less 1.6 to 1.8 meters in size. And they're flying quite fast. They have good performance as well. So brands like, for example, Futaba, MK, which is a Japanese company, and Pilot, together with OS engines, ENIAC engines at that time, were the real performance engines and equipment. I wish we can educate our younger generations more, but because of the activities available through internet, right, games on internet, I think this hobby come to a point where to them it's a bit tedious. They want something ready to go, but not those days. Either you take it up seriously by doing it yourself, get together as a group, as a friend, like myself with Muhammad. We spoke a lot. We almost meet every weekend without fail to talk about the hobby, to understand each other, to understand the models, to understand what we are doing. Now, this don't happen anymore today. I wish this would have able to put an impact for the younger generations. Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about those days, especially on the building itself. Even I myself, I do big mistake during, although you follow the plan normally show half of the wing. But if you build it half, the same wing is the two sides will be the left wing or the right wing. So that's where sometimes the mistake come. And other than that, if you build it properly, then we join the wing. Then sometimes I ever brought it to him and he said, "Warp, wow, what is warp?" I don't even know what is warp wing. Actually, warp wing is a twisted wing. Definitely cannot fly. You got to repair it again. Yeah, true. Is it true, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching my journey of aeromodeling through the 80s. I'll see you in the next episode of my journey in the 90s. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to talk about my journey in the 80s. All right? Thank you for watching.
Sorry. Your journey in the 80s or your aeromodeling journey?
Aeromodeling.
Wow, go pick up.